Today we're going to be talking about 5 markets that are very, very vulnerable in real estate. These are markets that if you're an investor or if you like these areas and you are on the fence, it might be the time for you to start thinking seriously about at least putting an eye on the market and watching to see what it does. Because these markets that I'm going to go over with you today, I would definitely say they are on the banana peel. They are definitely on the banana peel. So let's jump into some of the data that are in some real serious trouble. Now, one thing that I'll mention before we jump into these is that these markets will have something glaringly obviously missing, and that is close proximity to either an ocean or the Gulf of Mexico. And this is one of the things that I say to folks a lot that want to move to Florida. One of the questions, I'm a coastal agent. I work the coastal markets of Florida, and I do touch on some of the middle of Florida, like in and around Orlando, because I do get a decent amount of people that talk about the villages. So there's a couple areas that I also am very familiar with, but outside of those areas that we're talking about, when you get into just like a regular Joe Florida, when you're talking about that, and folks that say, you know what, I don't care where I live in Florida, Florida's always a solid bet, I just want to be in the warm weather. I always talk through a lot of things with them, and you know this if you watch my channel. Exit strategy is one of the most important things in my opinion. The more layers of exit strategy that you have available to you, the better your investment is. So yes, acquisition price is enormously important, but think about this. If you buy a condo that backs to a main road and you got a great buy on that condo, like everything in this community sells for around $400,000 and you picked it up for $200,000, you might say, you know what, there's no way that I can go wrong. Let's say you bought it on an auction and you picked it up on foreclosure. If there's no buyer for that property, if your exit strategy is extremely limited because the buying pool wants what they want, and if they're going to buy something in Florida, they definitely don't want to be looking at Highway 75, and they can't spend any time out on the lanai because the road noise is so bad, you've really limited your ability to exit that property. So yes, the acquisition was good, but you're lacking the exit strategy. So it's really important in the area that you buy that there's buyers for what you're buying, if that makes any sense. And in these vulnerable areas, all of them are just kind of regular Joe Florida to some degree. All right, let's jump into it. The first one is Lehigh Acres. Now, Lehigh Acres is a suburb. It's an outside suburb to Fort Myers. Many times, especially during COVID, I had folks that would say, well, you know what? Fort Myers is a little bit too expensive for me, but I see this Lehigh Acres on the map. It appears to be very close. It's not that far from the beach. I don't mind. I'll drive an hour to the beach. What do you think of that area? Of course, I'm always going to tell you have to do your own research, but in general, Lehigh offers nothing. I mean, maybe affordable housing, maybe, but even Lehigh Acres took that COVID bounce where everything went up so high. So what's happening now and how Lehigh Acres has become a vulnerable market is that 1, it doesn't offer anything. 2, it doesn't say, hello, I'm in Southwest Florida, except for the weather and some palm trees. And a lot of investors, a lot of out-of-state investors bought the Kool-Aid. They said, yeah, you know what, I probably know better than most of these folks that are buying in Florida because I have this big portfolio of property up in Michigan, and I'm not going to listen to anybody, and I think Lehigh Acres is going to be a strong purchase. And then they bought up a bunch of properties. 68%, according to data, 68% of property in Lehigh Acres is owned by investors, meaning it is not their primary home. They're using it for rental. They're using it for something other than their primary home. And now they're seeing rising costs for insurance, rising costs across the board just because of what happened with inflation, lowering of rents. exodus out of the area. The people that are living there don't have an ability to get a decent paying job. So you are seeing an enormous amount of foreclosures in that area, and that is causing that to be a vulnerable area. Port Charlotte seems to be coming down as fast as it went up. Nobody used to talk about Port Charlotte. Punta Gorda, kind of, but not really so much there either. But Punta Gorda was a little more popular than Port Charlotte. Nobody was talking about it. Well, COVID years, COVID bounce, people felt like it's close enough to the area that they want to be. They can build a nice life. It's affordable. There's the beautiful Peace River. They're going to fish all day long. And they bought these overpriced homes, these run-of-the-mill 3-bedroom, 2-bath, maybe there's a pool home. And now what's happening is they don't like it and they can't get rid of it. Why? Again, the exit strategy problem. If you don't have anybody that wants to buy it, if you don't have anybody that'll get you out from under because you paid too much and nobody wants to rent it because they can't afford to live there, and there's no amenities in the area, maybe they're not somebody that just wants to fish on the river all day. If there's nothing to draw people to the area other than price, then what tends to happen is people are drawn out of the area, and the numbers don't lie in that area. The price reductions are substantial. There are at least 5 developments, huge developments, that have canceled, that have gone through the process to try to get areas approved to build new homes, and they have been canceled because of lack of buyer interest. The next one, and you know I talk about this all the time and I'm not a Cape Coral hater. Listen, I don't even hate Florida. People like to tell me, oh, Barrett hates Florida. Absolutely not true. Barrett likes to balance things out. Not everything is perfect. And I don't want your bad decision, your bad buy decision to be on my watch. But Cape Coral is another one. And there are people out there that will love Cape Coral. There truly are people out there that's going to be somewhere that they're drawn to. There's a lot of boating accessing Cape Coral. You do have to be aware of how far you're going to idle to open water, because if you hover over, just go to Google, hover over Cape Coral on a map, you can see there's lots and lots of little canals running through it, but not all of those canals are navigable. Not all of those canals lead out to open water. Some of them lead to a big lake. So you do have to be aware, not everything leads out to the Gulf of Mexico. There are good things about Cape Coral depending on how you want to live, but Cape Coral is not mini Naples. It isn't. There's not a lot to do there. There's not even a big outdoor shopping mall like something like Coconut Point. There really aren't many boutique-y, Southwest Florida feeling shops, outdoor restaurants. Yes, there are some here and there. There's no beach there. A lot of people like to argue with me about that. There used to be a little sand drop-off spot at the yacht club, but the yacht club burned down. There's just not a lot to offer. But what happened during the COVID bounce was that people felt like this is a great location. It's about an hour from Naples. It's pretty close to downtown Fort Myers. I can boat all the time. And they over-leveraged themselves. Insurance went through the ceiling because a lot of those homes are on a canal. People thought these canals were going to be so fabulous, and they didn't realize that the narrow canals, you're essentially looking into somebody's kitchen. You truly are. I mean, I'd rather be looking at green grass or whatever it may be, even a small lake, as opposed to being on a canal that almost looks like a sewer, okay? Can we be honest? Because most people have a seawall, not a riprap that looks nice and natural, but a seawall. And every time a hurricane comes through, or high winds or lots of water, tropical storm can do it, you can have those seawalls crack. And if they crack, not only do they look awful, they're super expensive to fix. So lots of damage has gone through there during hurricanes, and people are underinsured, can't fix their properties. Foreclosures are through the ceiling there, and price reductions are sky high with an overabundance of property available. So if you are looking to target Cape Coral, you have a lot to choose from and a lot of motivated sellers. Information. If you have a high propensity for risk, these could be areas that if you get the right price in the right location, because if you hit those things, if your exit strategy layers well and you get the right price in the right location, not backing up to a main road, not backing up to another house, not backing up to a teeny tiny sewer-like canal and another house, but a good location that people are always going to want, then you might want to put your eye on these cities as a place that you might be able to get a good bargain.